Welcome to Bob Ranch! If you head over there, there's really nothing interesting, it's a dead end, but if you head over there, well, check it out, we're going to be fighting Hugh, and as I showed in the video I made yesterday, Hugh Oshawott still doesn't have water gun, despite it being supposed to know it at that level. So, as a result, since it's basically the exact same fight as last time, I'm going to be using the exact same strategy. Open up with Tail Whip, then Spam Tackle until it dies. I just want to point out that Sarah B has fixed the information on the Poke Earth regarding this fight, but only for Oshawott, which means that I'm probably going to have to prove that is the case for the other two starters as well. For the time being, fuck that. Maybe some other time, but for now I really don't feel like going through all that dialogue again, even on Turbo. So, very easy battle. This tactic really can do you no wrong, especially if you nail a critical right off the bat. And I would also like to point out that, you know, those animations that trainers sometimes have at the beginning of a battle? Well, in this game, all trainers have such an animation, whereas there were very, very few characters that had one in the first game. I can think of Sharon and Bianca, but there were not many others other than them. So, I just gave my extra town map to Hugh, so... Okay, we got some visitors here. Meet the owner of the ranch, his wife, and one of his dogs. So, given the place's name, I'm going to call the guy Bob, and his wife, well, Mrs. Bob, since, well, that's a thing. But, anyway, so, what they're going to be telling us is that, well, after these introductions... Oh, I forgot about that. She's gonna heal our Pokemon, or not. She's gonna give me a potion... I would have liked instant healing, but whatever, a potion works too, I guess. So yeah, it's nice to have potions when you're far away from a Pokemon Center, except for the fact that I'm not far away from a Pokemon Center. So, now what Bob is saying is that he lost one of his two herdiers, and basically, since they can't find it, it's going to be up to me and Hugh to do it instead, and Hugh being obnoxious as always when it comes to Pokemon safety. Once again, foreshadowing to an obnoxious plot point. Really, Hugh is as much of a one-trick pony as you're going to get, which is sad because he's a waste of what could have been a perfectly good rival. So, now she can heal my Pokemon for free anytime. So I'm just gonna do that really quickly because, well, I took a little bit of damage in that fight, and well, it's better off to heal whenever you're given the chance. Even if you have potions, using the free healing whenever you can really crunches down on the amount of potions that you need to use. So. This herdier, very sad that the other one's gone. And since speaking of the other one, since it's a dog that belongs to Bob, I am simply not given any choice in the matter. I'm going to have to call it Bob Barker. So, there are a few Marys in this ranch, which leads me to my next point. In this game, compared to the first game, there are a lot more Pokemon that are available in the main game. In fact, the Unova Dex doubled in size, going from about 150-ish to 300. So that means that there are almost 150 old Pokemon that were added to the Unova Dex on top of the new ones, which was obviously one of the most popular requests for that game, so glad to see that they obliged there at least. And this is the first place where you can meet some of those old Pokemon. Like here you can find Mareep, Riolu, Azurill. Riolu is especially interesting because a lot of people ditch their starter at this point and use Riolu as a pseudo fourth starter since the 3 regular starters are so bad. And Lucario is very, very good. A lot of people do that. I'm not going to do that though, not in a game where Mienshao is available. And yes, by the way, there are wild Mareep that you can catch in there. So while helping them find their dog, you can also kidnap some of their livestock. Wonderful. Is there any hidden item over there that they're running around? Nope. Looked a bit suspicious, but doesn't look like it. So, okay, I was wondering, I saw an item earlier and it was right there. Now, the one thing that I really want to talk about today, well, yesterday Korokoro was leaked, and I think everything's been said about that, but there's one very important thing about it, and that it's completely overshadowed yesterday's episode of Pokémon Smash, where a very important reveal was made. Long story short, they all but confirmed that there was going to be a new type in Generation 6, and that Sylveon, of course, was going to be of that type, which gives a lot of credibility to that fairy-type league that Poké-Experto had a few weeks ago, and, okay, now he decides to join me. So, let's have a look. So, yes, let's, and, okay, he's running ahead, and he's stopping. Do something! Jesus, for someone who's so concerned about that Hertier's safety, you sure are not doing a whole lot. You remind me of another character with outrageous hair. But anyway, as I was saying, basically they hinted at some of Sylveon's type effectiveness, and as it turns out, it's weak to fighting, and offensively, it's also super effective against ice. So in the end, they're making one of the best types even better, and one of the worst types even worse. So, what the fuck? Well, at least Poison is said to be super effective against Fairy, which is good because Poison really could use the hand. But seriously, otherwise I'm really, really not impressed by what I'm hearing about it. I mean, sure, there are other types that are going to be super effective, not very effective, both offensively and defensively. Great! Now I'm really gonna have to go back to Mrs. Bob after this fight. But, well, you know, it's just not a big deal because I can do this while avoiding all the tall grass. But, yeah, in a nutshell, fighting super effective against this new type. Poison, also super effective against this new type. New type, super effective against ice. Aside from the poison bit, right now it's just looking like they're playing Corrupt-A-Wish. Like, you know, oh, you want a new type? Okay, we're gonna give you one, but we're gonna make it weak to one of the best types, and we're gonna make it strong against one of the worst types. What the fuck? Really, I'm still holding out hope that somehow it will work against Dragon and Steel, either offensively or defensively, maybe both, because right now it's looking a bit sad, to be perfectly honest with you. And I mentioned Poké-Experto earlier. Well, it's baffling and... Okay, what do you have for me? It's a paralysis heal that I could have used, like, just now, but I probably wouldn't have used it because Mrs. Bob was just so close. But, yeah, the fact that it seems like Poké-Experto's leak was real after all means that, against all common sense, they are still being given access to sensitive information. Even though they leaked so much last time around, they are still being given that information to leak as they please, which, honestly, if I were a company and I made someone sign an NDA and they breached it time and time again, I wouldn't give them another NDA to sign like 3 years afterwards, because they're gonna breach it too, and that's what they're doing right now. So, yeah, new type, all but confirmed by Pokémon Smash yesterday, even though it wasn't referred to as such. We were given no name either. But I'm still adamant that it's a pretty bad idea. I mean, you could just have tweaked the existing types just a little bit to balance the whole thing, but instead, creating a new type isn't all that bad, except for the fact that, unless they do massive retcons, and even if they do, there are not going to be enough really competent Pokemon of that new type to go around. So it might take a few generations for it to build a decent population, and we just heard a Herdier, which, that's not the one we've already seen. It's clearly Bob Barker, and why am I the one who's supposed to go deeper? You're just staying there, looking at the trees like a dumbass? Good Lord! Anyway, we found Bob Barker accompanied by a guy in very suspicious clothing, and pretty sure he didn't run away with the Herdier just to pet it, so we're just going to roast this lily pup real quick, and wow! Way to waste a turn. Then again, it's a level 7 wild Pokemon. This happens all the time. Shouldn't complain too much. I mean, this is a game that's aimed towards children in a way, so you don't want to make the beginning exceptionally hard. You leave that to ROM hacks. So, okay, that's the building. All right, so we made it to the end of Bob Ranch, and yes, of course I found it, because what? Did you really think you were going to find it just by standing there looking at the goddamn trees? Anyway, today we're going to be playing Cliffhangers, and unfortunately we lost the little Yodel guy that was supposed to go up the hill, so you're going to have to replace him. You do know what happens to the Yodel guy at the end, right? Right? Well, anyway, all joking aside, this guy belongs to Team Plasma, which was thought to have disbanded 2 years ago after being utterly crushed by none other than myself, but apparently they just went into a dormant state and are now choosing to reappear. And did he just throw a frustration TM at me in order to escape? Really? Well, that was sort of stupid, just what I would expect from villainous Team Grunt. Frustration, not the best TM, far from it, but so early in the game, it can be pretty powerful, especially on newly caught Pokemon. So, Hugh and Bob came to the rescue a bit too late, but Bob Barker is alright, he's just fine. So, once again, Bob is going to get scolded by Hugh because Hugh is an obnoxious jerkwad when it comes to Pokemon safety. But at least we won't have to put up with him anymore, at least for the time being. So, once again, foreshadowing! Ooh! So, let's go home, and are we? No, we're not magically teleported to the main part of the ranch. We have to make our way there on our own, which is not that difficult because, shortcuts! Shortcuts everywhere! So let's see if Bob and Mrs. Bob have anything interesting to say. It's all thanks to me and my Pokemon. Did Alder train you? No, he didn't, though he said he was going to. But, okay, they're really thankful that I found Bob Barker. But anyway, now that we're done here, we still can't progress past that hiker over to the right on Route 20. So we're going to head back to Bobtown in order to get some coaching from Alder now that I've delivered the town map to Hugh. So, me and my Pokemon have grown. I was like level 7 when we first met, and now I'm level 12. So, okay, so he's not going to hold his end of the bargain. Instead, I'm going to have to give him a hand, which is good because it's going to result in some good experience. But we're going to do that next time!